Hi, I'm Nicole from Hello the Future, and today we're going to talk about the $100 Startup Chapter 7. I know, I usually do 2 chapters per video, but we are just going to do 1 today because Chapter 7 is very important. So what is Chapter 7? Chapter 7 is called An Offer They Can't Refuse, the Step-by-Step Guide to Creating a Killer Offer. Side note, don't kill anyone with your offers. So what is the deal with Chapter 7? Chapter 7 assumes that you've done the work of Chapters 1 through 6. That is, you've thought about where your skills and talents and passions intersect. You've come up with your one-page business plan. You have figured out whether what you're offering meets people's needs and whether it matches up with something that they've asked for. Perhaps you've tested your offer with a couple of friends, a couple of strangers, a couple of people you know on Twitter, and so you've got a pretty good idea that if you create something and then try to sell it, because it's not about the selling, but it totally is about the selling, then you'll actually get people to buy your offer. But creating an offer is, in itself, a very important stage of the game with its own rules, and so Chris has, for all of us, set them down. Rule number 1, make sure what you're offering is being offered at the right time. That is to say, Chris tells a story about how he was running his very first marathon, and about halfway through the marathon there were people handing out orange slices, and he was like, "Woot, orange slice," and he took it and he ate it and he kept on running. And then a little bit further down the road there were people handing out donuts, and he did not want to eat the donut because he still had half a marathon to run. And I don't know if you've seen those pictures on the internet, but sometimes scary things happen at the end of marathons, and so he was all, "I do not want to eat this donut." So that was an example of an offer that would have been appreciated because Chris likes donuts, I like donuts, most people like donuts, but it was at the wrong time. It should be noted that when Chris reached the end of the race, when he would have gladly bought a donut because he needed the carbohydrates because he had just run some number of miles, I don't know how many miles are in a marathon, 26? Anyway, after he reached the end of the marathon there was no one selling donuts, and he would have eaten one if there had been. So make your offer at the right time. Okay, so what is the right time? Honestly, I have no idea. And if it's not donuts and marathons, I'm not quite sure how to tell. I mean, even with the obvious examples, like don't sell a box of chocolates on February 15th, there's still the people who are going to go out and buy the chocolates because they're like super cheap, and maybe that's how their relationship works. But for something that is a bit more complicated than donuts and a box of chocolates, I don't even know what the right time is to sell something. I'm thinking about this right now because I'm going to be releasing a new product with Hello the Future very, very, very soon. If you follow my Twitter, you might have an idea of what it is already. If you don't follow my Twitter, you totally should. But I don't know, do I release it on a Tuesday? That seems to be when musical things release, but do I release it like in June? In July? Is there a time and a place for this? It's a really difficult question. So I'm not quite sure how to answer it. Your thoughts, you can tell me down there, but that is the first step. Make sure you're offering what you're offering at the right time. The second step is making sure you're giving people actually what they want, not what they say they want. Alright, so Chris's example here is airline seats. People say they want more legroom, but actually they want the cheapest seat, and in fact now that many airlines are pricing over half of their seats as premium economy because they have some like 1.5 inches of more legroom, now people are upset because they can't get the cheapest seats because someone else got the cheapest seats because they booked their flights like 3 months in advance because that's what you have to do now. So that's rule number 2. Make sure you are giving people what they actually want, not what they say they want. How do I figure this one out? In my case, I am not sure that there is a difference. I mean, I give people music, alright? If there is something else, if people say they want music and they actually want something else that isn't music, I'm not sure how that works in this case, so I'm gonna just file this one, but you should pay attention to it if you're selling something a bit more complicated like classes, or ebooks, or donuts in marathons. People like to buy. This is the next rule. People like to buy, but they don't like to be sold. This is really key. This I like, and this I have to figure out how to use. You realize that by talking about this, I'm giving you all the secrets, but what Chris says is you don't actually want to sell people things. You want to invite people to join things. The thing that they are joining just happens to have a price tag attached. Chris uses the example, of course, of things like Groupon, right? or Kickstarter projects. You know, you're invited to join this group that is doing this thing to achieve this goal. Limited time offer. You know, if you want to be part of the super duper club, you have to give us some money, and then you're part of the club, and you get all these bonuses. Then you get a t-shirt, you get like some restaurant meals. I don't know what Groupon does. Restaurants and horseback riding. Anyway, so that is what I'm thinking about in particular, right? A lot of you have been watching Hello the Future for a while. A lot of you have already bought my stuff. But this new thing that I'm thinking about will have tons of stuff. Honestly, it's you know, it's a bit of a donor circle model, and I'm giving everything away, but I am definitely going to have to figure out how to structure it as an invitation, because that's what it is. It's an invitation for you all to join me, literally. I know it sounds strange, but for you all to join me over this next year as I put together a bunch of cool stuff and share it with you, which is sort of the artist, it's the artist and audience relationship, you know. I make things that come from the personal part, as it were, and I share them with you, and because we're all kind of interested as people in what other people are thinking and what's happening to other people inside of their minds and hearts, that is why it is interesting. And so what I'm actually doing is inviting you to have more of that, and you also get some stickers and buttons and t-shirts and things, but I have to figure out how to structure it, because, you know, like Chris notes, product copy is important, and so you don't want to just sell people things. You want to make sure it's an invitation, and then you want to make sure you can follow through. That is the last rule, Chris says. He says you actually have to follow through. You have to provide, it's as simple as providing something like a frequently asked questions page, a guarantee page if you're into that kind of thing, and then when you actually give them the thing, make sure you over-deliver. Put in the secret surprise. You know, give them the good chocolate, as it were. And so yeah, those are the step-by-step guides to creating a killer offer. And then the last step after you've created the offer is to gently, gently, gently nudge people so that they actually buy it. So now that I've talked about this, and I've certainly made a couple of digressions because I'm seriously putting all of my brain space, this space here, into thinking about how I'm going to structure this next thing that Hello the Future is doing, and you know what to call it. I mean, Marion Call used Donors Circle, and I don't know if that is what I want to call it, or whether I want to call it something else, like Hello the Team. That's a terrible name. You know, Hello the Year, Hello the, I don't even know. And I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about what exactly I can give people besides the main thing. The main thing is the sharing of personal experiences and memorable melodies with fan references. That's my tagline now, that's my new tagline. But how do I do this in such a way that people will be interested? And people will want to jump on board, but they want to pay me a little bit more because I'm also giving them a t-shirt. So yeah, thoughts on that you can leave in the comments. Also, there's a link to buy the $100 startup, and because I like you and you like me, a link to follow me on Twitter.